Monday lunchtime class, and today's class was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. We did closed guard kind of mobility drills, as it were. So we were doing kind of armbar entry, where you swing from side to side, and then we did a hip throw kind of entry for reps, basically. And then we did that thing where you're in sitting guard on one side, and then you do a neck roll, so you end up on sitting guard on the other side on the legs. Really cool stuff, really fun, really good workout as well. My abs haven't felt like that for a while. And so you might have noticed I've got a black eye. I think this is from Friday's class. I didn't notice when it happened. I think what happened is when we were rolling, the pair next to us, someone's legs ended up on my head. So I kind of got hit suddenly by a different sparring pair. And I think that's where it came from. And this kind of thing is really rare in jiu-jitsu. After a while, you learn to take care of yourself. So it's quite rare for my partner to end up doing this to me by accident, although it can happen. So that kind of, someone that you weren't sparring with kind of ends up accidentally knocking into you. And that's kind of illustrates the whole, don't go to the ground in a fight kind of thing, because you can't really see around you. You haven't got that spatial awareness. So, here it's a rolling pair rolling into me, but, in the street, it would be some guy kicking me in the head. Something to keep in mind. Don't stay on the ground, I think, is the lesson to be learned there. So today I just wanted to talk about injuries in jiu-jitsu. So I've had quite a few injuries since I started practicing jiu-jitsu. And it was kind of rare because until I started jiu-jitsu, I hadn't really broken anything. I didn't really have any kind of serious injuries. I've never been hugely into sports, so, kind of running or going to the gym or swimming or whatever. But I think in my second class, I actually cracked a rib. So we were sparring or something and someone fell on me awkwardly and landed with their elbow on my rib cage. And so I got cracked rib in my second class. So I ended up coming to class just to watch for a few weeks after that. After that, I've had, I think the worst ones is my knee. So I started dislocating my kneecap. I had my kneecap come out a couple of times, and both times it went back in again by itself, but quite discouraging. And then last year, I actually ended up having a torn meniscus. So I had to have that fixed with surgery. And then the most serious injury I had was someone jumped closed guard on me, but they got it wrong. So they landed on the side of my knee instead of actually landing on my torso properly. And that really messed up my hip to the extent that I needed to have surgery on that. And that took ages, the hip surgery. Basically, the way the doctor described it is they use this kind of boot contraption to pull your hip out of the socket. Then they fix the bone up and they put it back and then they sew it all up again. And that mostly worked. I think I've got maybe 80% of my mobility back. So I'm fairly, it's stiff. Sometimes it hurts sometimes, but it's mostly okay. The knee's pretty much recovered, thankfully. It's still slightly sore sometimes, but really doesn't affect me day to day. And the ribs obviously healed quite nicely. And then the other's kind of like wrists and fingers. So wrist pain, finger pain is quite common. And I don't think there's a lot you can do about that apart from, try to remember to stretch a lot and maybe ice them sometimes. But that's the extent of it. So 7 years of jiu-jitsu, almost 600 classes. I'm about 10 classes away now, I think. And that's the injuries I've had. And I think I was quite unlucky. So most of those weren't necessary and just bad luck. I think if you're doing any kind of physical sport, you're going to end up, you have the possibility of injury, at least. But I certainly could have avoided a lot of these by training a bit more intelligently. And I think if I joined the club today, the way it is now, we have evolved in how we treat new members. So I think if I joined today, I wouldn't have had those injuries. It was because I started way back when in the the good old days when things were a bit more brutal and less safe. So this is the main reason I really recommend conditioning work. So, flexibility work and lifting weights and just trying to become a bit stronger, a bit more resilient. So that, these possible injuries that you might have, you can avoid, A lot of them. I think the worst injuries come from not what your partner does, but from you. So basically, the worst injuries I've seen or heard of are people falling wrong, or people putting themselves in the wrong position and having their body weight fall on it, or their partner's body weight fall on it. So, really learning break falls and being aware of where you are in space and what is vulnerable at that point is super important. All right. Let me know in the comments. How have you done injury-wise in your jiu-jitsu journey? Am I the exception with this long list of fairly horrendous injuries, or is that normal for people in the 40-plus bracket? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.